Red thread? or or blue thread? Red thread or blue thread? Oh my gosh, which one? Which one? Well, I think the blue thread is going to win, at least for today. Hey Tibbies, this is Psychic Bob. It is so awesome to be back with you. Well, welcome to Tuesday. Now, normally on Tuesday we do messages from the spirit world, but today we're going to change it up. Just for this week, we're doing a whole week of magical charms. So if you haven't been following along, you need to catch up. Yesterday we did a wonderful video on the red chili pepper charm, and today we're going to talk about the mystical blue thread charm. That's right. Now, as many of you know, last week we talked about the red thread, the mystical red cord, the red thread. And this is oftentimes associated with mystical Kabbalah and the ancient Hebrew practice. It's a very mystical practice. And so last week, if you didn't see it, you need to see last week's video on the red cord bracelet, the red thread or the red cord. And you know, today we're going to talk about a less known practice, which is the blue cord. Now, many times you'll walk around, you'll notice people wearing the red thread, but you very seldom see people wearing the blue thread, okay? But every now and then I'll notice somebody wearing the blue thread. And I asked somebody once on the street, I said, what is that blue thread? And they said, oh, it's mystical. I study Kabbalah. I said, oh, I thought the Kabbalah thread was red. And they said, oh, it can be blue also. It comes out of the ancient Hebrew tradition. I said, well, isn't that interesting? So I started doing research on this because, one, I love the color blue. By the way, how do you like my blue dashiki today, huh? I thought it would be great to wear since we're celebrating the mystical blue thread today. And, you know, just to tell you at the beginning, as we were joking about red thread or blue thread, don't let any of this get you in a panic. Both of them are wonderful charms, okay? And, you know, honestly, between you and I don't think it matters which one you use. But what's important is that you understand why you're using it and you use it with the right focus and intent. And each of them will serve you. But, you know, as I was looking through doing research on Kabbalah, I found that actually there's a lot more evidence for the use of the blue thread than there is actually the red thread. So if you want to know what is really more traditional in terms of Kabbalah, probably the blue thread. So I wanted to read to you where this whole tradition of the blue thread came out of. It actually came out of the ancient Hebraic tradition. And in the Old Testament of the Bible, there are a number of verses that talk about the mystical power of blue thread, okay? So these are just a few. I think there are probably many more, but these are just a few that I got, okay? So one of the first references is in the book of Numbers, chapter 15, verse 38. And it says, speak to the people of Israel. Now this is God talking, okay? So this is a command straight from God. Speak to the people of Israel and tell them to make tassels on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a cord, here listen to this, and to put a cord of blue on the tassel of each corner. Now what is this about? Well, in the Jewish tradition, they wear prayer shawls. Men do, and nowadays a lot of women do too. But they're kind of shawls, they drape over them, they have fringes on them. And so according to God's command, he wanted a blue cord on the tassel. So many of the modern day prayer shawls will have like one cord or multiple blue cords woven in. We're going to show some of those in just a minute. But let's hear some other verses. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 12, it says, you shall make yourself tassels on the four corners of the garment with which you cover yourself. So when they're wrapped in their prayer shawls, God said he wanted fringe on it, tassels, okay? Now, it doesn't say in that verse they're blue, but that's, you know, later on it's defined as blue, okay? Now, in the book of Exodus, when the Jewish people traveled, they traveled with the Ark of the Covenant. They had kind of a roaming temple, which is a tabernacle, and they'd set it up. It was like a tent temple, and it had veils, and you had to go through veils. And so, listen to this. It talks about the veils in the temple being made of blue thread. So this is in Exodus chapter 26, verse 1. Moreover, you shall make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twisted linen, and linen of blue and purple and scarlet yarns. You shall make them with cherubim skillfully worked into them. So what is God talking about here? Well, the veils in the tabernacle were to be of a mixture of blue and purple and scarlet. Now, here's our blue thread, okay? And we're going to talk about the purple thread a little later this week. But this also ties in again with the scarlet. So this is the scarlet red thread. Here's the blue thread. The tabernacle was the most high and powerful protection place. It was literally where God dwelt among his people in the day. So these red and blue threads symbolize the very presence of divinity. And this is why people wear them today. Now, a lot of people don't know that the blue thread really is connected to the very presence of divinity, but it is. Now, the color blue was also associated with the royal priesthood and the high and powerful of Israel. So let's read another verse. In the book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 15, it says, Then Mordecai, who was like a prophet, then Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal robes of blue and white, with a great golden crown and a robe of fine linen and purple. And the city of Susa shouted and rejoiced. So Mordecai wore robes of royal blue. Now this happens to be a shade of blue, which is a very royal blue. Isn't that beautiful? I think my dashiki today falls under royal blue. Royal blue is an interesting color because it's got a little tinge. It's closer to purple, and so it's a deeper, richer, vibrant blue. And so the blue in Israel was this kind of rich, vibrant, royal blue. So the priests wore it, the prophets wore it, it was in the tabernacle. So this is where the whole tradition of the blue thread comes from. In fact, I want to put up here some pictures of some Jewish prayer shawls. By the way, before we do that, let me just say, the name of the Jewish prayer shawl is called the talit. If there's any Jewish people watching this and I say it wrong, please forgive me, but I believe it's pronounced talit, which is the prayer shawl. The tassels, the fringe on the end, is called tzitzit. Excuse me, it's spelled T-Z-I-T-Z-I-T, but it's pronounced tzitzit. Tzitzit, that's tassels. So it says every prayer shawl should have royal blue thread in it, or royal blue tassels. And you'll see, that's why you see many today in Jewish temples wearing these shawls, and they have blue threads through them. So here are some really cool samples of the blue thread woven into prayer shawls. Check this out. I think that's pretty cool stuff. I really love those prayer shawls. I think they're beautiful. I love the blue threads in them. It's working for Psychic Bob. I'm a blue fan. So, now people are going to say, well, I'm not Jewish. Do I have to abide by this? No, no, no. If you're a Jewish person, I would encourage you to embrace that culture. I think there's a lot of mysticism there. I think a lot of modern Judaism forgets the mysticism. That's just my experience. But I think within the Jewish tradition, there's so much powerful mysticism. And the blue thread is part of it. Now, from what I've heard from other Kabbalah study people, that you do not have to be Jewish to wear either the red thread or the blue thread. But you do have to have a little bit of faith. So now, I have not found out if the blue thread uses the same prayer as the red thread. They have the red thread prayer, which we talked about, was the Ben Parat prayer. I don't know if that prayer is used with the blue thread. I've not been able to find any evidence of it. So you know what I say, when you don't know, you gotta wing it. And I think that if you want to wear the blue thread, all you got to do is consecrate it to your higher power. You know, um, for example, you might want to think about consecrating it to your version of deity. If you have a sky god in particular, I think that the blue would really resonate with the sky god like Jupiter or Zeus or Thor. You know, they're all sky gods. I'm trying to think. Uranus is a sky god, ancient Greek sky god Uranus. Uranus was his name. So you see, there are a lot of sky gods. And I think with that energy of the sky god, you know, the blue really resonates. Because when we think about blue, it's like the entire cosmos, the sky. You know, think about that. It also represents royal power and majesty. So, you know, really what I'd say is, you know, if you don't know, and if anybody out there knows if there's a specific prayer for the blue thread, I would love to hear. I've really tried to find it. I've not found anything on it. But I would say take your blue thread and pass it through, light some incense, okay? Because, you know, incense was always a big part of the ancient Hebrew tradition that had the incense rising before the throne of God. Take your blue thread, pass it through the incense to purify it, and then simply offer a prayer as you tie it on. So you might want to just wrap it around you and tie it and say, you know, divine power, power of the cosmos, great God, great goddess. Now, if God is female to you, that's your higher power. That's okay too. Because a lot of people don't tell you in the ancient Hebrew tradition there was a female element to the Godhead. You know, and then you tie it on, you do a little prayer. Now this one I can't tie on right now. I'll just hook it on temporarily because I got to sit down and focus on this. But, you know, you tie it on with a prayer after passing it through incense, and now you have a wonderful little cord. Now, I know people are going to say, well, Bob, can I wear the blue cord instead of the red, or can I wear them both? Honestly, as I say, it really doesn't matter. To me, it's all the same. You know, if you're working with your higher self to attune to divinity and seeking that blessing of protection, you're going to have it. So don't get hung up on the legality of, well, I was always wearing the red thread. Now I want to wear the blue. Is it offensive to wear them together or to switch? Wear what speaks to you, okay? But I'll tell you, just looking at the history, okay? Now, I know this is going to make some people who love the red thread upset. I think there is actually more evidence for the blue cord in the Bible. Just my opinion. Anyways, so there you go. So anyways, that's another charm. Very simple, doesn't cost much. Now, where do you get the blue thread? Now I'm going to get this. Well, they're actually harder to find. I haven't found a really good source for them. And I always say, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. So I found a beautiful, I went online and bought, this is satin thread. Now, of course, it says in the traditional scriptures that the blue threads are woven of fine linen. Well, it's hard to find. I haven't found any linen thread. So I'd say you could use anything that is a fine quality blue thread. This one happens to be made of blue satin, okay? The one that I'm wearing actually comes from a roll. I bought a 100-meter spool of blue satin cord. This is beading cord. Just look up 2-millimeter blue satin cord and you'll find it. But that's what this one came off of this roll. And you can make it out of cotton. I just recently did find some blue cotton thread, which I'm going to order. You can make it out of cotton, you can make it out of wool, you can make it out of satin, you can make it out of silk. I really don't think it matters because, you know, when I was looking at the prayer shawl images, looks like they're all different materials. Some look like they're silk, some look like they're wool, some look like they're cotton. I don't think it matters, you know. But I think what's important is that it be a very rich, vibrant blue. Now, I have also, let me show you something else here. There are different shades of blue. Now, in the Mediterranean countries, this is also popular. Their blues, if you buy a cord in the Mediterranean countries like Greece or Turkey or Italy, It may be a little lighter blue because they like that kind of Mediterranean blue down there. And looking at some of the prayer shawls and stuff, I do think that it can be different shades of blue. Traditionally, now I'm just saying traditionally, it was royal blue, which is this vibrant blue, closer to purple blue. But nowadays, I see a lot of people wearing a lighter blue. So if you resonate to a lighter, like a turquoise blue or Mediterranean, that's okay. So here's my other bracelet. So I don't have this one on right now, but it's a little braided cord that's done in a Mediterranean blue. So that also could be worn on the wrist. So yes, I think honestly it can be different shades, okay? So where do you get them? Wherever you can buy blue cord. I think it's honestly easier just to make your own than try to buy them, because I haven't found many that are done in blue that you know are the traditional, like where you can tie them. I have found blue cord bracelets that have, you know, hooks on them and stuff, but I really think the tradition is that you cut a cord and tie it. It should be tied because that seals the magic. That's my personal belief on that. But I hope today this has given you some ideas about the mystical blue thread, the blue cord. And tell me in the box below, have you seen anybody wearing the blue cord bracelet? Maybe you wear one. Do you wear the blue cord? Have you ever worn it? Or is this new to you? I want to hear from you what you guys think about it. Some of you may be Jewish, and I'm curious about your experiences in this synagogue. Did you wear the prayer shawls with blue threads in them and blue tassels? I'd love to hear your experiences. And tell me what your thoughts about, you know, the mystical blue thread. And do you have a favorite? Do you like the red thread or the blue thread, or do you like them equally? I don't know. I kind of like them both equally, so maybe I'll just wear both. And that says, well, people say, can I wear both? Yeah, I think you can wear both. Anyways, so there is another charm for you guys. I hope this has brought you some insight. Listen, guys, help me out. Tell YouTube that you want to keep Psychic Bob on the air. Like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends, post it on your Facebook. You have my permission, put it wherever. But tell people about the work we do here at Spirit Channel. Invite them to come be part of our scene. We'd love that. And if you want to get on my schedule for a private reading, I still have openings this week for a private psychic reading. That's right, for those of you who are new, I am a full-time professional psychic medium. And you can call my office, 703-825-3929. 703-825-3929. Put that in your cell phone. Just save it. You might need me. If not today, another day, okay? And you can also write to me in my official email, which is, and all these links will be below, my official email, PsychicBobHickman, all one word, @gmail.com. PsychicBobHickman@gmail.com. That link again is below if you forget it. Look forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks for being here. I can't wait to hear your comments, what you think about the blue thread, because I tell you, I really didn't know a lot about it until I started researching it, and I'm a big fan of it now, so I'm going to be sporting my blue thread. Thanks for being here. I love you. We'll see you back here tomorrow, and until then, may all of you always blessed be.